Hello, my friends. It's quite a brisk day in October, and this is the 1907 diary entry. Yeah, it's really getting cold. I have procrastinated about doing some painting and getting an area set up in the house to do these. I enjoy doing them outside so much, but the clock is ticking on that, so I need to get my act together. Meanwhile, we have the diary entry for the 8th of October, 1907, a Monday. And yeah, this is a long one, so it's going to be another one that we have to do in two parts. All right, so let's dive in. Well, I should take a look at what... Yeah, so the Sunday, was very long and complicated with the opening of the Orthodox Palestine Society in Moscow, and the afternoon at Neskuchny Palace, messing around with horses and having fun with the visitor Vilgashka, Maria's fiance. And then Dmitri apologizing to Aunt Ella and expressing a desire to go to the opera with GM and MN, but anticipating that Tyotia, Aunt Ella, would not allow it. So that's a quick recap, and here we go. I got up, as always, or rather even earlier than always, at 6:30 because I had lessons and I needed to do my homework. But then it turned out that I didn't actually need to do my Russian homework because he didn't come today and I had spent the most time on it. Coffee was at 8 o'clock, as always, but without Tyotia because she had a headache, and now she's even spending the evening in bed. I had lessons from 9 to 12, and then I sat around doing nothing until 1 o'clock when lunch was served. Afterwards, I went to Neskuchny with GM and took my rifle. I killed one crow and a magpie, which I sent to be stuffed. MN and Borya came there soon after our arrival. MN and GM took a walk, and Borya and I drove to the slope and shot. At 4 o'clock, I went home and had tea with GM because Tyotia had it much later, because when we returned from Neskuchny, we met Maria, Miss June, Ilgashka, and Clerk going to Neskuchny, so tea was delayed for them. From 4 to 6, I had lessons, and incidentally, from 5 to 6, history, which went very well, despite the fact that I was very scared of that particular lesson. From 6 to 8, I didn't do anything in particular, just played the mandolin and balalaika, etc. Okay, so this is the first morning, afternoon, and early evening well, why did I say the first? So it's a very good indication of Dmitri's life at that time period, a very good illustration of it, I should say, with the one wild card being that Vilgashka is there, that they have a guest. So this makes me laugh because, there are some things that are universal, whether you're a Grand Duke or not a Grand Duke, and one is to have to get up extra early on a Monday morning to do the homework that you did not do over the weekend, although in Dmitri's defense, that whole Sunday was taken up with obligatory activities, things he couldn't avoid. Okay, so let's see, and then this disappointment because he got up so early specifically to do his Russian homework, and then the Russian teacher, for whatever reason, didn't turn up and wouldn't be turning up the next day. Okay, so Ella has a headache. Headaches seem to be a common affliction in the family, so she's not joining them for coffee, as she usually does in the morning. Dmitri has his lessons. He takes his break between lessons by going to Neskuchny. He doesn't mention what the weather was like, but it must have been very good. and he takes his rifle along, and now he becomes the Dmitri that I don't like, crow killer. Only this time he also kills a magpie, and he wants the magpie to be stuffed, which is, yeah, kind of gross. Personally, I don't like taxidermy. If any of you are taxidermists, then forgive me. It's just my own opinion, of course, but anyway, I wonder how many stuffed things he actually had. Okay, so the GM and Dmitri usually walk there. They're a little in advance of Maria Nikolaevna and Borya. It's kind of a little family outing. I mean, they really are kind of a little family, right? The Lamings and Dmitri, as Dmitri would later be with the Marlings, whom he would meet in exile in Tehran. And while Mom and Dad take a nice walk, the two boys go off and do some shooting. So apparently Borya had a little rifle. He would have been about 10 years old at this time. And when Dmitri says they drove, I assume they took some kind of horse-drawn vehicle and went to this slope to do some shooting, then go home, have tea, and they're having tea basically by themselves because Maria, Miss June, Vilgashka, and Clerk were going to Neskuchny at the same time that Dmitri and the Marlings were leaving, and tea is going to be delayed for them because Vilgashka, of course, is the guest. So, and Dmitri has more lessons. He can't wait. All right, so another 2 hours of lessons, and he's particularly scared about how it's going to go with his history lesson because maybe he just did some last-minute reviewing or some homework kind of scattershot because he was focusing on his Russian. But anyway, it goes well, so good. And then afterwards, waiting until dinner time with the rest of the group, he just sits in his apartment and plays the mandolin and the balalaika. Very nice scene. Nowadays, you'd be more likely to have a 16-year-old boy either playing video games or, if he was doing something more constructive, trying to pick out tunes on an electric guitar or something like that. I remember the mandolin, or at least a mandolin, is mentioned in Maria's memoirs, the first volume, The Education of a Princess, that they want to buy a mandolin, both Dmitri and Maria, and they have to check that with Uncle Sergei first and get his permission. So every little thing had to be checked first with Uncle Sergei, and as we know, also with Ella. Not perhaps to the same extent, but still, pretty much everything has to go through her. And yeah, it surprised me that Dmitri was able to go off and buy his own furniture. But as we know, that did cause trouble. Anyway, tomorrow we will find out about that evening with Vilgashka and what they end up doing. Incidentally, I should mention that Clerk, I don't know who that was, who was going with Maria, Miss June, and Vilgashka to Neskuchny. Yeah, I just don't know who that was. Clearly some member of the household. So anyway, I will see you next time. Bye.